Morning, y'all. Another mildly awkward one, so let's get into it. It's Proverbs 7. It says, "Follow my advice, my son. Always treasure my commands. Obey my commands and live. Guard my instructions as you guard your own eyes. Tie them on your fingers as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart. Love wisdom like a sister. Make insight a beloved member of your family. Let them protect you from an affair with an immoral woman, from listening to the flattery of a promiscuous woman. While I was at the window of my house, looking through the curtain, I saw some naive young men, and one in particular who lacked common sense. He was crossing the street near the house of an immoral woman, strolling down the path by her house. It was at twilight in the evening as deep darkness fell. The woman approached him, seductively dressed and sly of heart. She was the brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. She is often in the streets and markets, soliciting at every corner. She threw her arms around him and kissed him, and with a brazen look she said, "I have just made my peace offerings and fulfilled my vows. You're the one I was looking for. I came out to find you, and here you are. My bed is spread with beautiful blankets with colored sheets of Egyptian linen. I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink our fill of love till morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses, for my husband is not home. He's away on a long trip. He has taken a wallet full of money with him and won't return until later this month." So she seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. He followed her at once like an ox going to the slaughter. He was like a stag caught in a trap, awaiting the arrow that would pierce his heart. He was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. So listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your hearts stray away toward her. Don't wander down her wayward path. For she has been the ruin of many, and many men have been her victims. Her house is the road to the grave. Her bedroom is the den of death." And that is Proverbs 7. Some things that kind of stick out to me on this one is verse 2, where it says, "Obey my commands and live. Guard my instructions as you guard your own eyes." You only got two eyeballs, and they gotta last you for the rest of your life, right? But if you're like me and you need glasses, whenever you're working, like where I'm working, you gotta wear safety glasses, right? So I got these nerdy looking things on right here. While they're kind of annoying at first, you're thankful when they do their job, right? Because I don't want to go through the rest of my life blind. But whenever you're wearing them correctly and you're using them correctly and things of that nature, you really don't notice them that often, being honest with you. Yeah, you might have to adjust them every now and again. You got to be kind of intentional on putting them on whenever you enter certain areas of the plant or whatever it is. But I think you're kind of called to guard the instructions as you guard your eyes, right? And obey those commands so you can live. Some people look at Christianity and think that there's a whole bunch of rules that you have to follow just because they say so, and that's not right. Well, why isn't this explained? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? This is keeping me from having fun. I want to do what I want, yada, 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 yada. But a lot of those commands, be honest with you, are just kind of common sense, and they might keep you from having the most fun you never want to have again right now. But in the long term, it's worth it, right? It keeps you out of trouble. It keeps you out of jail. You don't get taken farther than you ever meant to go and get caught up in something that's going to end up harming you or others, or being able to, kind of be a black mark on you for the rest of your life or anything like that. And kind of looping around with the guarding your eyes and safety glasses ramble earlier. Whenever you guard the instructions and you start getting used to them, you don't even really realize that you're guarding them so much. They're just there, keeping you protected. and you don't really miss a lot of the old stuff that you used to do once you get used to doing the right thing. It can be weird breaking bad habits and building new ones, but I guess the good news is that habits, whether they're bad or good, once you're stuck in those ways, you're kind of stuck in those ways a little bit, unless you're intentional about it. So once you start keeping those commands and guarding them, and being intentional about it, next thing you know, you're not really being so intentional about it. It just kind of becomes second nature on, this is what I need to do, this is what I don't need to do. And it doesn't feel like it gets in your way. It just kind of feels like that's how it is, and that's fine. But you notice whenever it helps you out. Another thing too is how it talked about a guy lacking common sense and getting caught up with a woman that he didn't need to. He didn't necessarily seek her out, it sounds like, but he sure enough placed himself in her path, and didn't turn away from it whenever the offer was presented to him. So you got to be intentional about where you are, where you aren't, and there's going to be enough temptation that happens. You ain't got to go looking for it. There'll be plenty of it that you're going to stumble over or gets thrown under your feet or something like that. So don't be surprised whenever you're tempted and there's a perfect opportunity to do the wrong thing if you weren't intentionally staying out of those situations in the first place. And sometimes, you don't know till you don't know, right? But if she's often seen in the streets and markets soliciting at every corner, right? Verse 12, he wasn't probably a stranger to the kind of woman that she was, what she was all about, and so he didn't intentionally keep himself from a situation that goes bad, right? Another thing about her too is that it says, I've just made my peace offerings and fulfilled my vows, right? So back whenever this was written, it's still Old Testament, right? Written by Solomon, who's, I guess, the third king of Israel back in the day. Back then they had to make blood sacrifices to atone for their sin, instead of just being able to believe in Yeshua and Jesus. And so, she went and she did the modern day equivalent of the church things, right? Hey, I went to Sunday school and I went to the main sermon this Sunday. Cool. Anyways, I want to go do this sin, right? Come and do it with me. So just because somebody claims one thing, don't always take it at face value what they claim. In the New Testament, it talks over and over and over again about judging people by their fruit, right? By what they produce with their life. There are plenty of folks out there today that claim that they're Christian all day long, and then you look, and if they didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. I've been that way before, and to an extent, probably still that way some, being honest with you. So, whenever somebody tells you who they are with their actions, believe them. It doesn't mean that they can't necessarily always hang out with them, because those people need Jesus too, and you might be the only Bible that they ever come in contact with. But that being said, don't be the guy who loses common sense and place yourself in a situation where it'd be easy for you to get sucked into something that you don't want to get sucked into, right? Be intentional in avoiding temptation, because there's going to be enough that just pops up around you randomly, and and such like that. Don't need to go looking for trouble. Life's full enough of it anyways. Yeah, I reckon that's Proverbs 7. I'll take it easy.